5, 4. Hey, good afternoon. This is Gunner. I am. Pause. Redo. 5, 4. Good afternoon, my name is Gunner. I blog as Anello Grande on anello-grande.blogspot.com. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and Blab. Be sure to check them out. Username on most of those is Anello Grande, one word, ANELLOGRANDE. If you didn't know, that's Italian for big ring. Officially, the blog name is Filatura Anello Grande, which loosely translated should mean spinning the big ring. And obviously, if you want to win a bike race, you have to be able to push that big ring. And if you can spin that big ring out, then you're doing something right. But anyway, today I just wanted to... I'm starting something new. I guess you could call it video blogging or vlogging or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to post up these videos every once in a while. I'm not sure if I'll do them every day. I'll try to do them at least once a week. If you didn't know, again, I've been on Periscope. I do like live streaming. However, there's times where just live streaming just doesn't really work for me. And one is when I'm sitting in front of my desk and I have some thoughts and ideas that I want to get out that are a little more, I guess, flushed out than an impromptu, hey, plus, I mean, I like the instant interaction on Periscope, but what I don't like is the inability to kind of go back and say, you know what, let me clarify this this note or whatnot. But anyway, on with today's topics. What I wanted to get in touch with is, one, just tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Gunner. I am a lifelong cyclist and craft beer lover. I'm not sure how much craft beer stuff I'll be talking about on these shows, as probably they'll be during the day, during the week, and so, I'm not a noontime craft beer drinker. Usually I take my lunch hour and go for a bike ride. So these video posts will probably be a little more cycling related. Hopefully some current events and topics, of which we can get right into. So first thing I wanted to talk about is Gent-Wevelgem, the bike race in Belgium that just happened, I believe, Sunday. Great race. I didn't catch the full race. We were getting ready for Easter supper that day. Had family and guests and stuff coming over. So I would try to log into Twitter and various feeds and see what was going on. But even that, I didn't get very much information. So I did watch some highlights of it. It looked like a great race. Peter Sagan, Cancellara, Sepp Van Mark, and somebody else got away in a break. 4 riders away. It started off just a little gap, but they kind of built it up and were able to stay away for the remainder of the race. What's awesome then is that Peter Sagan was able to outsprint everyone at the end of the day and take his first win in the rainbow jersey stripes, which is great. He's done a number of second places, and so it's great to see that he won. Awesome job. However, this is not without some sad news. Apparently, there was an incident in which a crashed rider was hit by the following moto, and that resulted in very serious injuries, and then overnight he unfortunately passed away, and his name is Antoine Demoitie. I believe that's how you say his name. I don't want to be disrespectful. I do want to mention this. Very sad day. He's 25 years old, recently married. Placed very well in the E3 just believe it was less than a week ago. The E3 Hallback race, another spring classic. He actually was in one of the leading breaks, and then, I think they got caught. But, so very rising star cyclist. Unfortunately, his life is cut short, and I think we need to really seriously look at how these moto drivers are driving in races, because there have been a lot of accidents in recent races, especially this year, and this year has just started. We're just getting into the classic season, and so to hear about more of these accidents, I'm of the school that the motos and cars in the caravan or in the race need to be extremely cautious of how they are interacting and driving through the race, because the cyclists, they have their job. Their job is to race bikes, and they're not necessarily looking out for cars and motos in the caravan, whether it's camera or info, whatnot. They're not necessarily paying attention to that. They are paying attention to other racers, the course, that type of thing. And so if a moto is following so close that it can't stop when a rider crashes right in front of them, then to me the blame obviously is on the moto driver. And I'm not saying, oh, well, anything should happen to him, but I'm saying that we need to look at safety precautions for the riders in these races. And if it means motos need extra training or need to keep at least a 3-foot clearance between them and another rider, I don't know what the answers are, but I think things need to change a little bit for that. On that sad note, I want to move on a little bit. The next Spring Classic race coming up, I believe it's one of the monuments, is the Tour of Flanders. I think it's April 3rd, so I should be coming up next week. Or is it this weekend? I can't remember. But it's coming up really quickly here and real fast. If you want to get in on something fun, there are all sorts of fantasy sports online. Obviously, I like cycling, and so I try to take part in fantasy cycling. So there's a site, Velo Games. They have free. We're not betting, we're not anything like that. It's all for fun. Pick your racers. If you've picked Sagan and Cancellara and Sepp Van Mark, they've been doing really good in the last couple of races. So, that's it's just something to add in the fun of actually watching and seeing the results of these races. Next thing I wanted to touch base upon is local gravel race here in Minnesota. Takes place in Stewartville, Minnesota in the fall. It's a fall classic gravel grinder. It's called the Filthy 50. Now, they just opened up registration last week, and they put a cap on at 800 riders, and that has already filled up. However, if you want to race that race or ride that race, because there's nothing that says you have to race it, you can still get in, put your entry in the roster, and they have a wait list. So as people decide throughout the year, hey, you know what, I'm not training, or I'm not ready, or I have other plans that came up and I'm not going to be able to do this race, as people drop out, your name has a chance of getting added in. In addition to, sometimes they, as it gets closer, they will open up some extra seats. They've done that in the past. I can't guarantee that that's the case. But if you want to get in on that, their website is the-filthy50.com. So the filthy, filthy-50.com, and you will see the latest news on that, as well as a registration page where you can go ahead and get your name on there, and as roster spots open up, they will fill them in a first come first served basis. So the earlier you get in, so like right now, as opposed to in October when the race happens, you have a better chance of actually getting a spot. So be sure to do that. Then here's some interesting things. So and if you follow me on Blab, I co-host Bike Chat every Thursday night. We touched upon this a little bit on Thursday, but SRAM recently announced their 12 1x-speed system dubbed Eagle. I believe they have XO and X1, or no, XX and XO versions of Eagle, which is a 12-speed, I believe it's a 10 to 50 cassette, meant to be 1x. So they're totally ditching front derailleurs. Supposedly this is going to be the trend from now on. Personally, I'm not too sure I like it. However, I haven't ridden it, so I can't say for sure. Obviously there's the concerns of a narrower chain to fit 12 speeds on there is going to weaken everything. However, it looks like SRAM has really done their homework and really designed the group set well. They designed a new process of making the chains. It's something like 45 steps just to make one link. Multiply that out by 110 links in most chains. It's a lot of work just to make the chain for this system. So, having said that, I think they really designed this well. So I'm not necessarily concerned about things maybe breaking prematurely, that type of thing. My major concern is that, so here in Minnesota, we don't have a huge amount of hills or mountains, I guess you could say. We do have some sustained inclines, and I recently went from a 3x10 system to a 2x10 system by just getting a different crankset with the 2x front chainrings, and that's been great. I think it's awesome. It's working out well. A lot of times I could probably ditch the front derailleur and run a 1x system, just 1x10. 1x11 might work well. Most of the places that I ride off-road, especially here in Minnesota, I could get away with the current cassette that I'm running and a 1x system probably very easily. But caveat is I do also ride gravel, so for that system I like the double because I have a lower low gear and then I have a fairly high gear. I mean, it's not as high as like my road bike or anything like that, but so you have this range. Now SRAM is claiming that you can have just as big a range. I mean, obviously a 10 tooth to a 50 tooth is a huge range, and I think they have it stepped up so that from the largest rear sprocket to the next largest is kind of a big jump. So it's almost like a bailout gear. So it's kind of like their 1x11 with an extra bailout for really steep climbs. And that's great. Off-road, it probably will work excellent because when you get into situations where you're climbing, you need those bigger steps to be able to keep going. However, for a majority of my riding, so let's say I ride out to a trail on a mix of gravel and paved roads, I want the ability to have a fairly high end so that, if I want to push down this paved hill and get going pretty fast, I can do that, and then for the climbs be able to keep that. So even though they're saying that the spread or the range is going to be the same, I have my doubts. That said, I'd love to try it out. If someone buys a bike and I can borrow it for a day or so to try out Eagle 1x, or hey, SRAM, if you're listening and you want to send me a group set, I would love to try it out. Personally, I don't think I'll be able to, probably for a year, but we'll see. Since we're talking about equipment and that type of thing, I want to mention a little bit of, I hate being negative, but I have a little bit of a disappointment in Veloflex tires. Now, obviously, you can't control if you ride over glass, you're going to get cuts in your tire, right? But I'm usually pretty careful. However, this spring, I've noticed I got 3 flats recently, where a lot of times I don't get a lot of flats. My Veloflex tires I put on in the fall. I've ridden through winter when I can, and this spring, usually in the spring there is a lot more glass and stuff on the road, and so I do expect that I will probably get flats. I never think that I'm never going to get flats, but it seems to me that the tire, I don't know if it's the thread count or the width, the thickness of the tread, or what it is, but I seem to be getting more flats. So I've gotten 3 so far this spring, whereas a lot of times I can get through until March, April without any flats. And I look on my tire and there are cuts, one almost a 1/4 inch thick in the tire. So durability wise, I'm not terribly happy. Obviously, it may not be the tire's fault. It could be that I'm running over a lot more glass this year. That very well could be. I mean, to go from no flats to 3 flats, it's not a huge amount. I mean, it's not like, okay, well, went from 1 flat every year to 20 flats. We're talking 1 to 3, not a huge amount, but it is a little frustrating that in less than 1,000 miles I've gotten at least, maybe even 4 flats. I haven't kept track of how many flats I've gotten since I got the tires, but I do know that in the past, some tires I've been able to go a year without getting a flat. That said, comfort wise, these Veloflex tires that I got, and they are the 25C width, so they're a little wider than what I used to get is 23. The extra width is really comfortable. The tires themselves are grippy. They're very comfortable. It is unfortunate. I may give them a try again when I replace them, which I may be replacing them pretty quickly because it does make me nervous that there are these cuts in the tire. And I did go ahead and boot it, and here's a little trick. I put a little shoe goo both on the inside and the outside to help at least fill the cuts with something so that glass and sand and stuff don't go inside of the cut. Okay, hopefully that ends today's show. If you like this, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe, because I hope to be putting more of these out, and maybe we'll be getting, different thoughts, ideas, that type of thing. I don't know exactly how this is going to work yet. We may do 1 topic per episode and have more episodes during the week, or do something like this where I have a number of topics. Please comment, let me know what you think. If you have your thoughts on any of today's topics, from the winter of Gent Wevelgem, the unfortunate death of Antoine Demoitie, your picks for Tour of Flanders, whether or not you want to ride the Filthy 50, your thoughts on SRAM 12, 1x12 system, Veloflex tires, whatever it is, give me some comments and we'll get a discussion going. Also, be sure to check out Craft Beer Blab on blab.im tomorrow night. That's a show I host. Interactive. You can get on camera, talk, chat, whatnot. Blab is an excellent it's an excellent platform to be able to interact with other people. We'll be talking about craft beer. Every Tuesday night we talk about craft beer. I don't have a set guest or topic list yet for tomorrow, but I'm sure there'll be some interesting things to talk about. And then on Thursday, it's Bike Chat. I co-host that with Jonah Di Pasquale. Great guy. We talk about all things bike. I'm not sure what this week's guest is, but it's always a blast. We talk about a lot of great things, a lot of great news going on in the bike industry. Good stuff. Be sure to check it out. Again, follow and like this. I will talk to you later. Thanks again.